Did legend your grandma? Hi, my name is Chloe Jane and welcome to my channel where we talk about movies, TV, and books. And today we are talking about Legendary, the second book in the Caraval series. I'm so excited to talk about this book, but it will not be a spoiler-free review. So if you haven't read the book, go read it and then come back. But before we get into everything, I thought it'd be fun if we could play a little drinking game. So on my channel, whenever we watch movies and TV series, I like to play drinking games. So I wanted to see if there's a way I can incorporate this into my book videos. So if you want to join in, grab your drink of choice. You can drink whatever you want, a matcha, water, coffee, tea, wine, whatever you want, girl. And I think for our drinking rules, you guys should take a drink anytime I say legend, cards, and the Prince of Hearts. But yeah, let's get into it. Cheers! I had so much fun reading this book. After I read Caraval, it was fun. I had fun reading it, but I wasn't really invested in this series. I was kind of like, but after this book, now I'm really invested. I'm so excited to read the rest of this series and then the next series, the Another Broken Heart series after that, which is why I originally started reading the series because I want to get to that series. But I had so much fun reading the second book. I think the plot was better. I think the stakes were higher. And I just think being in Donatella's POV was so much more fun and interesting. I mean, I love you, Scarlet, but I'm so glad we weren't in Scarlet's point of view. Donatella is so fun. I said in my last video that she reminded me of Alice de Laurentiis because she's just kind of like this girl that seems like mischievous and reckless, but really she's a mastermind and she's plotting. And yeah, that still stands true for this book, because why was she literally bullying these fates that were trying to kill her, like the undead queen and the handmaids, when they were literally trying to kill her? She's over here saying like, oh, you're ugly, you smell bad, you stink. Like, she was saying that to them and I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what Alison de Laurentiis would be doing if she was in this book. And yeah, no, I really just loved Donatella's character. And I said in the last video how I felt like Scarlet didn't have a lot of agency. It felt like she was just kind of wandering throughout the game, and this was the exact opposite. Donatella was just making bold decisions like left and right, and she really did not give a fuck. Like, she was fearless, and I love that so much. I love when a character does not give a fuck. And then her and Dante, oh my gosh, I love them together so much. Like, truly he met his match, because the way she was running away from him for majority of the book, like, he kept following her, and she was like, I truly have better things to do. Like, I'm busy, I'm booked and busy, I have this, like, stop following me. I loved the banter between them, and I'm so glad that Stephanie saved Donatella and Dante for the first book and the second book and got Scarlet and Julian out of the way in the first one. Because no offense to Scarlet and Julian, but Dante and Donatella are just more interesting, I hate to say it. And then we meet Jax for the first time in this book, and like I said, I've read this series because I want to get to the Another Broken Heart series, so when he said his name was Jax, I automatically dinged in my head, oh my gosh, that's the guy from the other series. So it was so fun to get to meet Jax for the first time, and I already know that I'm gonna love that series just by how, like, evil his character. He was so evil in this book, but at the same time he wasn't, and he was like actually nice. So he's a very interesting character, and I'm really excited to read him in the next book, and I really hope we get to see how he became the Prince of Hearts, or how he became heartless, because he says somewhere in this book that he wasn't always like this. So I hope we get to see how he got to that point. Now let's talk about the scene at the ball. This was the moment that I got hooked into the story. After that I was like, oh, I'm invested. I'm invested now in this series, because this scene was so good. It was the best scene out of the whole book, dare I say the whole series so far. So first of all, you have Donatella going to this ball on a mission to meet her friend who she's been writing letters to. You have Dante following her, and they're over here bantering, they're flirting. He's trying to like give her advice in the game, and she's like, I'm on a mission. chill. I have stuff to do. Leave me alone. So not only is she on a mission to go find her friend, but then she runs into her fake fiance that Dante lied about and set them up. And she realizes, oh, my fake fiance, the heir to the throne, is actually the guy, the asshole from the carriage who, like, literally threatened to kill me. Oh, right. Oh, right. Right. So now Dante's worried because he's like, oh no, this was just a lie. Like, it wasn't actually supposed to go all the way. Like, what's happening? And she's like, bye, loser. I'm gonna go dance with my fiance. So now they're dancing. Dante's sitting in the corner watching them, jealous. And while he's watching them, she figures out, oh, not only is he the guy from the carriage, but he's also my friend who I've been writing to for weeks and weeks and weeks. He has my mother. Oh, but he's also the Prince of Hearts. He's a fate. And then she only realizes after they kiss in front of everybody and he's trying to kill her. And now she has to play the game and she has to win. And like, that was cinema. That was cinema. Like, are you kidding? And I suspected that he was the Prince of Hearts because of all the biting into the apples. Like, yeah. Stephanie, you ate with that scene. I must give you your flowers. Like, you ate down with that scene. So once we found out that Jax was the Prince of Hearts, I said, okay, so Dante's a legend, right? Because I felt like Stephanie was trying to mislead us a little bit by making it seem like Dante was the Prince of Hearts by the way that he says he doesn't really care about women, like he'll just sleep around and then he just tosses them aside like ball gowns, essentially. And also the fact that he, like, knew who the Prince of Hearts was whenever she was spinning that coin. So whenever it was confirmed that Jax was the Prince of Hearts, I said, okay, so Dante's 1000% legend. Duh. Duh. And I said this in my last video, I was like, okay, clearly Donatella has to end up with legend, right? Because there's no way that neither one of the sisters is not going to end up with legend. So when we found out that Julian was just Legend's brother, I was like, oh, okay, so Donatella's going to end up with legend, which makes a lot more sense because look at Donatella. She's scheming and she's plotting herself. So why would they're literally the perfect match? Like, yes. But I will say something that is really weirding me out that we never really answered this question in this book or the last book, but they kept referring to their grandmother as having like some kind of love affair with the legend, how their grandma like broke his heart or something. So I'm like, okay, so did Legend your grandma? Like, that's weird. Is that not weird? Like, he had a thing with her grandmother and now he's with the granddaughter. Like, that's weird. I need to know what's going on with that immediately. And they didn't answer that at all, but did they not say that? And I think it has something to do with the heart that he has tattooed on him. Tella asked about it and he said, don't ask about that, I'm not going to talk about that. And I was like, okay, so is that about her grandmother? Like, that's weird. Also, at the end of this book, Donatella says it's about to be her 17th birthday, which means she's 16. I don't know why, but I did not think they were that young at all. Like, 16? 16? And how old is Legend? Huh? How old is Dante? Legend? Right. I like the whole immortal trope where the guy's like hundreds of years old, but I think we need to at least age the characters up a little bit. I don't think that the female protagonist should be 16 years old. Like, at least make her 18. That's crazy. Is that not crazy? Anyways, had to rant about that. So then when Tella's trying to choose a mask for the ball, it is introduced that there is a lost heir whenever she picks up the crown with the candles on it. And my first thought was obviously Dante. Dante has to be the lost heir because I feel like that was the most obvious. But then I thought Armando might be the lost heir because they kept bringing him up so much. Like, I felt like every single chapter we had to talk about Armando or he had to like make some kind of entrance, and I was like, why are we trying to make this character so important? What is his bigger role that he's playing? Because I don't care that he was like Scarlett's fake fiance. That's not that big of a deal. So why are we making him a big deal? So I wonder why we keep bringing him up and if he is secretly somebody else, something bigger. Maybe he's a fate. I don't know. Maybe Armando is one of Legend and Julian's brothers. That's the only other thing I can think of as why they're mentioning him so much and trying to make him an important character. I think maybe he could be one of the brothers. I don't know. Because otherwise I'm like, why do we keep mentioning him? He's everywhere. So I'm wondering what's gonna be revealed about him in the next book. But then I even came up with a crazy theory. I was like, what if Donatella is the lost heir? Because I know that sounds crazy, but she drew the Shattered Crowns card, which is what was underneath that headband with the candles that represented the lost heir. And then she kept comparing her grandmother to Elentine in like a very negative way. Like she kept saying how much more comfortable she felt around the Empress than she did her grandmother, because her grandmother like never gave hugs and stuff. So that kind of made me think like maybe she's related to Elentine and not related to her grandmother. And then also the fact that her mother was willing to give her up to the stars and not Scarlet, who was her firstborn, so technically she should have given up her firstborn, but she was so willing to give up her secondborn. So that also made me think maybe that's not her mother. Maybe her and Scarlet are half sisters and they share the same father. And also her and her mom don't look anything alike. Her mom looks exactly like Scarlet. So that was my theory, but as we know, Legend Dante ended up being the lost heir. But I am interested to see what's up with her mother and why she was so willing to give her up. Also, I was shocked when I found out that Tella didn't know that Julian was Legend's brother. I don't know why I assumed that Scarlet told her that, but the whole time I was like, obviously she knows that, and then she didn't. And I was like, oh, how did she not know? I mean, I guess that makes sense that Scarlet wouldn't tell her. But I was thinking the whole time she knows. So when that was revealed, I was like, oh, that's why she was so unsure if Dante was Legend. Like, I thought it was obvious, you thought it was obvious, we all thought it was obvious, but no, she didn't know about Julian being Legend's brother. So once she heard that, it was pretty much confirmed to her that, oh, Dante is Legend. And then we had the scene between Tella and Scarlet was basically saying if a man gives a woman gloves, it's like a marital custom and it symbolizes him like wanting to take care of her. And Tella says, I'd rather a man give me blood because that symbolizes synchronizing your heartbeats or something like that. And obviously we know from the last book that Julian gave Scarlet blood to save her, and now in this book, Dante gave Tella blood to save her as well. So I thought that was a fun little parallel between the two books, but also I'm wondering, I thought it was very obvious that that meant that Legend gave Tella part of his magic by giving her his blood, but that was never addressed in this book. But I still believe that that's the case because there is this scene with her and Jax and they're looking in the mirror and she's looking at herself and she's saying how lively she looks, even though he's been slowly killing her with this curse or whatever that he's put on her, so she should look pale, but she's saying how much more lively she looks compared to Jax. And at that point she had already drank Legend's blood, so I assumed like she's starting to heal because she has his magic in her blood. But then I got a little bit confused because then she says, oh, I'm your one true love, Jax, that's why you can't kill me because I'm your true love. And that confused me so much because I was like, wait, what? That doesn't even make sense. There's no way that that's his true love because obviously I know there's a whole nother series with Jax, so I assumed that we would be meeting his true love in the next series, right? So now I'm wondering if the next series is like a prequel to the series and it's like a backstory on the girl who broke his heart in the first place and how he became the Prince of Hearts in the first place. But I'm still not sure. This just did not make sense to me. Whenever Tella was saying, I'm your one true love, I was like, no, that does not make sense at all. Like, when have we seen that at all? That doesn't make sense. But back to Dante giving Tella her blood, I'm wondering if, in a way, giving her his blood kind of binds their lives together in a way, like in a situation where if he dies, she dies kind of vibes. Because like Tella said, giving blood symbolizes synchronizing your heartbeats. So I don't know, I'm wondering if that is going to be something that's in the next book, if is like he like binded their lives together. Or I think that could also be the case for the offer that he made to the stars or whatever to repay her debt. Maybe he like binded their lives together so that if she dies, he dies or something like that. I don't know. So then we have this conversation with Tella and Dante, and he basically confirms that he is Legend and the lost heir. He essentially says that his father sold him away to a noble family, and he also says that his mother left him with the circus. So, I mean, that's all we really needed to say to know that he's Legend. At the end of the book, Tella ends up winning Caraval. She gets the cards from the vaults. She goes outside. Who does she see? Dante, aka Legend. And she was like, no, I don't want to believe it's Legend. But obviously, it was Legend. And then she decides to actually sacrifice herself instead of sacrificing Legend or her mother. She's gonna sacrifice herself, and she traps herself in the card, which I figured was gonna happen because earlier in the book, whenever she drew the cards for her fate, she drew for her true ending, she drew the lady prisoner, which represents sacrifice. So I knew some sort of sacrifice was gonna happen. And then they had the whole thing with the performance, which basically told her that if you want to save somebody from a card, you have to write your name on the card instead and swap places. So I figured that was going to happen. But what I didn't know is that Dante was automatically going to be like, no, this, let's free them all, free my girl. And he freed all the fates. I was like, oh my gosh. Dante, that's so hot. Like, that's hot. He said, I don't care. Like, damn, I don't care if the rest of the world goes to shit. I have to free Donatella. I'm gonna get my girl back. And he said, it, freed them all, freed our girl. So I was like, yeah, yeah, that's so attractive. Like, yeah. So I assume the next book will be Dante, Legend, and Donatella trying to put all the fates back in the cards or destroy the cards or figure out how to defeat the fates. Final thoughts. I just enjoyed this book so much more. I felt like there were so many more different elements opposed to the first book where it was mainly just Scarlet playing the game and trying to find her sister and wondering who was Legend. I don't know. I just really enjoyed the plot of this book more, and I felt like there was an actual puzzle for me as the reader to try and solve compared to the first book, where I was just kind of like, I don't know, and like, I don't care. I will say that her internal conflict was very repetitive, and it was getting on my nerves because I felt like every other sentence Donatello was saying, is this real? This game feels real, but it's not supposed to be real. Is it real? I don't know. It feels real, but it's not supposed to be real. Is it real? I think it is real. No, it's not. It's just a game. Is it real? Is it real? I'm like, girl, we get it. We know it's confusing. You don't have to say it every other sentence. We get it. The game is confusing. Like, girl, please. That was really just getting on my nerves. That was her internal conflict for like the first half of the book, and then the second half of the book was, is Dante Legend? Oh, I don't want him to be Legend. Is Dante Legend? I don't want him to be Legend. What am I gonna do? I can't sacrifice Legend if he's Dante. Is Dante Legend? I'm like, girl, I get it. You don't have to repeat it every other sentence. We know. You're confused. You're confused and you don't want to sacrifice Dante. We know, girl. Besides that, I had so much fun reading this book, and I'm so excited to go ahead and read the next book. And I'm wondering if the next book will be dual point of views between Scarlet and Tella, or if it's still going to mainly be focused on Donatella and just be in her point of view and a continuation of the second book. I think I'd prefer it that way, but I'll still be interested if Scarlet's point of view is in there too, I guess. I am curious to see what's happening with Scarlet and her tracking down her real fiance and what's gonna happen with her and Julian, because I'm like, damn, y'all do have problems. Now that y'all say it, I'm like, and like I said, I am interested to find out what deal Legend Dante made to repay Tella's debt, and then I'm also curious to see how much of his magic she has in her system and what's gonna happen with that. Yeah, that was pretty much all of my thoughts. I really enjoyed this book, and now I'm officially invested in this series. Now I've got to finish it because I want to know what happens. So thank you for watching if you're still here, and if you have any other book recommendations or book series you'd want me to read, let me know. I just love to read, and I love to yap about books and movies and TV. Thanks for hanging out with me. Bye.